Okay, I've done what I should have done from the beginning, and that's just uninstall Fallout 76. It's not a spoiler to most of you that it's an absolute train wreck of a game. It should not exist, and I do not intend to play it at all in the future, further from what I already have. I cannot force myself to play this game any longer. I've tried. I really tried, but there's just so much wrong with this game that it's ruined all the goodwill Bethesda's built up through years of making good games. Fallout 3 has a special place in a lot of people's hearts. Fallout New Vegas is an amazing game. Fallout 4, even with its flaws, is, in my mind, a very good game. And Skyrim, they know Skyrim's a good game. They know we like Skyrim. I mean, they've remastered it and re-released it God knows how many times by now. The point is, Bethesda is a good video game company, but God, you could not tell from these past couple of months. Led by absolute terrible business practices, they've basically dug their own grave, and Todd Howard is the man with the shovel. If you forget for a moment the canvas bag situation, the 500 Atom refunds, the leaking of users' home addresses and credit card information, if you forget all of that and just base the game on its own merits, it still falls flat on its face because the decisions that they made are just god awful. Why, Bethesda? Why are you still using the creation engine? Look at this. That is a rad stag's leg sticking through the floor of a building, spinning in circles. This is what your game series has turned into. Just use the Unreal Engine. Use any other engine. Build your own engine. I know it'll cost money, but it is worth it. If you're going to use this engine for Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6, it has already severely handicapped those games and put a ceiling on what it could achieve. This game runs worse than Skyrim. Skyrim came out well before Fallout 4 came out, and this game also runs worse than Fallout 4, which is surprising since it basically carries everything over from Fallout 4, and they supposedly upgraded it with, I think it was 16 times the details what they said it had. No, this is one of the worst performing, worst looking Bethesda games, I would have to say, ever. Maybe not ever, but at least in the somewhat modern age of Bethesda. Of course, it looks better than games like Morrowind, or I guess Fallout 1 wasn't really made by Bethesda, but Fallout 3 still looks slightly worse. But still, there is no excuse for this game to perform as terribly as it does. I think I was basically running on low frame rate the entire time I played it. There was rarely any times where I felt like the game was even remotely running smoothly. Every time there would be something extreme going on the screen, whether it be more than two different people online fighting something, the game's frame rate would just take a terrible nosedive into oblivion, no pun intended, and it's very distracting. You can all laugh at the T-posing enemies and the floor clips that people said were endearing about Skyrim and Fallout 4, which are now just annoying at this point in an online grind game like Fallout 76. But when it gets to the point where there literally be glitches that ruin your entire playthrough. There was a glitch on the PC version which got a lot of attention that literally deleted all of your player data, and there was nothing you could do about it. As you see here, super mutants spawning in front of my eyes. Since it's an online game, they can't have an area be completely cleared out for all the other players. So you'll clear out an area, you'll basically blink, and they'll be back. This area in particular, I built my base right here, and every single time I would clear out the entire city of ghouls, I would go back to my house, and they would all appear in front of my eyes. From the abyss, they would just teleport into existence, and it's just frustrating beyond belief. So Todd, if you're listening, for the love of God, get a new engine. Make one or buy one, it needs to be done. Please. On the gameplay portion of things, although it is pretty hard to admit, I could overlook most, if not all, of what I just stated in that whole section if the gameplay made up for it. That's why I enjoy Fallout 4, although Fallout 4 suffers from the same engine problem, the same graphics problem. It wasn't nearly as evident back in 2015, but it was still there. I enjoyed the gameplay of Fallout 4 because it had a lot of things that Fallout 76 either doesn't have or could not have. The VAT system, for example. Fallout 4 made the gunplay a whole lot better than it was in Fallout 3 and New Vegas. Miles better. So you didn't have to entirely rely on the VATs, but the VAT system also worked, unlike what you saw there. It just looks completely clunky. Doesn't make a lick of sense how it'll just go from 99 to 0 when there's no obstructions, no range difference. It's just pointless in Fallout 76. It's just there because it's supposed to be in a Fallout game, and it's just a pointless feature that works worse than it did in any other Fallout game. More than anything though, the thing that destroys this game is the lack of any narrative whatsoever. The quests, if you want to call them that, are nothing compared to even Fallout 4. They don't even hold a candle to Fallout New Vegas. They're not even quests. It's just you listen to a holotape, it tells you to go to this location and get an item. But first you gotta clear out a bunch of super mutants or a bunch of robots with terrible gameplay. Look at this in the background. Look how boring that was. Just 20 seconds of shoot, cover, bolt, shoot, cover, bolt. It's just so slow. It doesn't feel good at all. Me trying to do this in third person, it still feels like garbage. But yeah, on the quest side, Fallout 4 had interesting characters, although it did have a voice protagonist, which I wasn't a fan of, and I think that's the one thing that held it back. The voice protagonist and the voice system made it so there wasn't much options when it came to the actual story. But it was there, it was interesting, it was good. Maybe not the main story, but the side quests were. If you think about it, it's kind of like a ladder. It went from no voice protagonist, many dialogue options, each very interesting and led to a multitude of different outcomes, to voice protagonist, less options, and a slightly less choice, but still there, to Fallout 76, which is just void of anything you could consider a narrative, void of anything you consider even a story, and you're just left with nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Okay guys, that's all that I can stomach when talking about this game. It disappoints me so much. I think most of you could probably relate to playing a game like Skyrim, playing a game like Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 4, and thinking, hey, wouldn't that be great if I could experience this same game, but with other people? They took that idea, and they pissed all over it. And us, the players, are supposed to sift through said piss to try to find some redeeming factor in an unredeemable game. And it sucks, because I don't want this to be what Fallout 76 has become. I don't want this to become what the Fallout series has become. I don't want this to be what Bethesda has become, a giant corporate company who doesn't care about the player like an EA. I don't want that. And I hate to say it, but Obsidian, a great company who made Fallout New Vegas, which is a great game. They also got the original creators of Fallout 1 and 2, which had great stories in them as well. And Outer Worlds is shaping up to look like an amazing game. They showed it off at the Game Awards, and it looks like what Starfield should be. But Starfield, from what Fallout 76 is, from what Bethesda has been seemingly turning into, isn't looking that good. And of course, we haven't seen anything concrete about the game, but just from what we know, just from what we can see in their recent actions in Fallout 76 as a game, Obsidian is where it's at, and I'm putting my full faith in Obsidian that they're gonna create a great game, and I've lost all my faith in Bethesda. The company that I have loved has now become a company I refuse to trust, and I refuse to put any faith in. Bethesda, you're not in a good position right now. You need to earn back the trust of your consumers, and I just don't know if you're going to do so. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video, and goodbye.
Everybody, lesson learned, just try to run into a nuclear blast and everything will turn out better in the end. Because I am a human kangaroo.